Hello and welcome to another season of Wildness and Wellbeing. I'm Tim Jones and I'm currently coming to you from the beautiful island of Koh Lanta in Thailand, having been on my travels for the past 3 months now. I've met some truly inspirational people along the way, and I also caught up with quite a few people just before I left to head out here. So I am happy to say season 3 has been wrapped, and I've got some awesome guests for you to listen to. Albeit it's all being recorded on the road, so none of my studio sound quality from back home, but I do think it's going to be super raw and super real. So I hope you enjoy. So hello and welcome to another episode of Wildness and Wellbeing. I'm Tim Jones and today I'm here with Craig Savageau in Surat Thani, Thailand. So hey Craig, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome stuff. So how did you end up here in the beginning?
Sure. So I was living in the United States. My background is emergency management. So at the time, I was actually helping to oversee the healthcare response to the COVID pandemic in the state of Maryland. I had been doing that for about 8 months, probably working between 12 and 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then I just kind of got to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. And I had prior to that been planning to eventually leave on a sailboat. That was kind of my dream in like 10 years, save up enough money and buy a sailboat and just sort of sail off into the sunset. And then I just got to a point where I realized I had enough money in the bank. I just did not want to do that type of lifestyle anymore. So I called my boss one day and just said, I'm quitting my job. And she was very shocked. I said, I'm going to buy a sailboat and I'm going to sail around the world. And I had a couple of close friends who were helping sort of coach me in sailing around the world because many of them have done it. And then I called them up the next day and said I quit my job. I gave my 2-week notice. I'm going to buy a boat and sail around the world. And the funny thing was they said you probably should have bought a boat first before you quit your job. But everything worked out. I found a boat within a month. Got it fully equipped. It was a really great small sailboat built in Sweden in 1975, so it was an old sailboat but very strong. And then I spent the next probably year to 2 years sailing through the Caribbean by myself. It worked out fantastically. I met boats along the way, and we sort of had this caravan of probably about 13 sailboats with kids on the boats and all sailing together to islands, and just had a wonderful time.
Wow. Your biggest motivator when it came to sailing around the world?
Right. So I had several coaches that had previously sailed around the world. One of them, Lynn Pardee, who sailed around the world with her husband in the late 60s, built their own sailboat out of wood, no engine, no electrical, nothing. And another good friends, Bean and Jamie Gifford, who have sailed around the world themselves. And one of the comments I received was to write down a date, the date that you want to leave on a boat or anywhere, and write it on a piece of paper and then put that date on your fridge. And every day you come home, when you go to the fridge, you'll see that date, and that is your reminder that you have to be ready to leave by that date. So you have no excuses to say, I need a few more months to make a little bit more money. Like, that's your date. And so for me, that was my driving force. Every day I saw that date. And even though I left years before that date, I still, every day of my life, was geared to getting to that date to get ready to leave.
So you got your sailboat and
Yeah, so sailing through the Caribbean, I met up with this really fantastic Australian family in the U.S. So we sort of met up in Florida and then started sailing through the Bahamas together. And it seemed like every island we went to, we've met another family who had kids, and they sort of joined our group. So we just sailed probably, I don't even recall because time just sort of was a blur, sailed all the way through the Bahamas, the Caribbean, together as a group, and then we sailed to the Dominican Republic. We sort of all got there within 1 or 2 days of each other, and then within probably I would say probably 1 week, everyone started to depart and go to Puerto Rico or go to some of the other lower Caribbean islands, and I had some work on my boat to do, so I stayed there a little bit longer. And then within a week there, everyone was gone. It was just me and one other boat. And we both made our way around Dominican Republic, and then I ran into a lot of boat problems, and so I ended up going back to the northern part of Dominican Republic, and I ended up staying there for 7 months, trying to fix problems, and I just sort of relaxed into living there on my boat, and then realized that I was just spending all of my money, so I decided to sell my sailboat, and then that freed me up to basically go anywhere quickly, and so not having any type of plan in place, I just decided the first place I was going to go to would be Nepal, because I just always had this envision of the Himalaya mountains and being very sort of a very Asian country, if that's even a word. And so I flew there volunteering for 3 months. I had an amazing experience. And then when my time was up, I really didn't know where to go next. And so I just chose Thailand as the next country, trying to make my way east. And then I landed here in Phuket, sort of still in the middle of the COVID scare, so I was stuck in a hotel for 24 hours to get my test. And then I made my way over to Koh Phangan, one of the party islands here in the Gulf of Thailand. And then I met Poom within probably a month of being here. And we've sort of been together ever since. Her daughter, Umbun, got accepted into a very nice school here in Surat Thani. So after living on the island for a year, we made a decision to move here. And then we've been here for 1 year. We opened up a bistro and a bakery, and now I'm teaching at one of the local schools. So it's been a very interesting experience for me.
So when you kind of started going, you said to yourself, I'm going to go and sail across the world.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of stuff?
Oh, yeah. So when I was living in Annapolis, Maryland at the time, and I think in the back of my head, I knew this was something I was going to do, but not for like another 10 or 15 years. So I slowly started to get rid of things because I was trying to save money for this, once in a lifetime trip sometime in the future. And also because a lot of my time was either spent working in emergency management, which was sort of an on-call 24/7, or I was racing sailboats. And so the first thing that I got rid of was my television, because I just didn't watch it anymore, and it was very expensive to pay for cable at the time. So then I slowly got rid of furniture. And so when I made that decision to quit my job and buy a sailboat, I just gathered everything I owned, from the shirt and tie I had in the closet to dress shoes and belts, and I put everything on sale on Facebook Marketplace, including my SUV. Everything I had that didn't fit into 2 backpacks, I put up for sale. And thankfully, within 3 weeks, I sold everything.
Wow.
Everything I wanted to sell, I sold. Whether it was, buy 1 tie, get 5 for free, just to get rid of it. And I kept a couple of photo albums that I had and some clothes, and that was it. And then I just moved on to the boat.
That's amazing. And what would you say was the biggest challenge when you were sailing around the world?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge actually started on the very first day I left, which was on November 25th, a Thursday, which was Thanksgiving morning for Americans. And I had some engine problems. I did not realize what the problem was until probably about 2 months into my travels. And it was that, and this was a learning experience, a lot of stuff. I raced sailboats, but I did not ever sail a boat by myself. And I did not know a lot about boats. I didn't know about diesel engines or electrical. And so what I learned very quickly is that diesel fuel is actually almost like a growing organism, that if you don't treat it with additives, it will grow bacteria and growth. and that's what it was doing. And so my engine would shut off while I was motoring down like the Chesapeake Bay or making my way down to Florida. And that really bothered me all the way into the Bahamas. But I didn't know what it was until I got to the Dominican Republic, and I had the engine removed and I had it all cut out. And then I could see that it was like 3 inches of just black gunk that were just kept getting sucked up into the engine. And so it as strange as it sounds, it wasn't scary at the time because I just was thinking it's something I can fix. But now that I look back at it, I realize that any time the engine could have shut off and I could have crashed or sunk the boat. And so now when I think about it, I get scared because I'm like, I was very close to that and I just never realized it. Because I had a couple of times at night when I was motoring around Dominican Republic where the engine completely shut off and there was no wind and I was slowly going towards shore. And so now that I look back, it scares me quite a bit.
And when you kind of finally came to Thailand, you're a teacher now in Thailand?
Yeah, so now I'm a teacher in Surat Thani at a very nice school. So I teach 5th grade and 2nd grade. I teach English, math, and science. One of them is a more structured English program, and the other program for 2nd graders that I teach is a little bit less focused on it's all English, but it's less focused on the other subjects. The kids are fantastic. I love teaching. The school is wonderful. The teachers I teach with are fantastic. The kids make me laugh pretty much every day I teach. It's a great experience for anyone to not only learn how to teach, but learn a different culture, learn what's important to them and what's not important to them. Things in a Western culture like the clothes you wear, the car you drive, or the job you have is a status symbol is very important. Here in Thailand, they don't view that as much as just being happy and doing nice things for people. So for me, that's a really positive change because it just makes you a much happier, less stress-free person.
Would you say that's kind of the biggest draw for you living here now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the cost of living, which is just far less than the U.S., but also just the environment that I'm in, where everyone is just very nice. I very rarely do I see any acts of violence, and you just feel accepted, especially as a teacher. When the locals know that you're teaching, they're very happy to know that, instead of just someone who's just traveling through and you'll be here for a few days and then you leave. They see me as a neighbor and as sort of part of the community. So that's a very good feeling.
Nice. Awesome. And have you got any plans for any other sailboat adventure? Well, what actually happened to the sailboat in the end?
So the sailboat, it's kind of one of those things where everyone talks about owning a boat as just sort of a hole in the ground where you throw all your money. And that was really like it when, by the time I sold my boat, it was almost brand new again because I had fixed the engine, fixed the diesel fuel tank, fixed the wiring, I put new solar panels on, and I sold it to a very nice guy from Canada who flew all the way down from Canada to the Dominican Republic and bought the sailboat. I made a little bit of money on it, but I also spent a lot of money fixing it up. So it was kind of a break-even point for me. But it was perfect because that sailboat was built in 1975. And as you may or may not know, most boat owners name their boat. So they pick a name and name it. And the name of that boat has been the same since 1975, when it was first commissioned. And so there's been about 4 owners, and every owner has kept the name. And I kind of made that stipulation to the new owner. If he buys it, he can't change the name. And so he was very happy. So he's sailing somewhere in the Caribbean right now.
That's amazing. Have you got any more ventures planned at all?
So we are getting married in December, so we're very excited about that. We're hoping that we can go to Japan for a honeymoon. Poom has a very good friend that lives there. And then we're hoping that this bistro will grow in size, Finn's Bakery and Bistro here in Surat Thani, and that we can both sort of retire and just sort of run this small cafe. But other than that, I think we'd love to travel to Europe and some of the other Far Eastern countries and back to the U.S. as well, because she's never been to the U.S. So big plans.
Yeah, totally. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, because this is how I've met you. I've come to your bistro, which has been open. Is it 2 weeks you've been open?
Yeah, it's been open for about maybe about 1 month. We've had seating outside. Poom, we started almost after we moved here about a year ago, but Poom was selling desserts and food online to some of the Thai online. One of them's called Grab, and the other is Line Man, where it's like a delivery service. And so when I was teaching towards the end of the school year, she had mentioned that she really wanted to have a cafe where people could come and sit down. So as soon as I got done school, I think in early March, we started building the cafe. So it's now almost time to go back to school. So about two months. It took us about a month to build it. So it's about a month.
Wow. What's been your biggest challenge with setting this place up?
A little bit of money. So I've had to use money I saved in my American account. Because we're not getting paid during the break from school. And then really it's a lot of it is learning just every aspect. Neither of us have ever run a restaurant or a cafe, and so learning where to buy food. So we would go to the supermarket and buy eggs, and the eggs could be 130 baht for a dozen, and then we'd go to the fresh market and find them for 100 baht. So then we move all of our buying over to the fresh market, which is nicer because it's fresher food. And then the other was learning, like, well, what type of food do people want to eat? And Poom did not want to serve Thai food because everyone serves Thai food, and she wanted to do Western food. So that was really the biggest challenge, was trying to decide on a menu, what Westerners would like to eat. And a lot of it was based off my experiences, but also trying to have some things on a menu that Thai people would like to eat. So right now, our challenge is getting Thai locals to come and eat the Western food. I think they're a little bit not aware of what it tastes like, so they're a little skittish, or not a little scared, but something like that. So they'll look at us but keep walking. And so we're hoping that soon we can, as more and more come and they talk about it, we'll get more customers.
Awesome. Yeah, your pancakes were amazing.
Thank you.
But yeah, thanks so much for speaking to me, Craig.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much for coming. We really enjoyed you.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Wildness and Wellbeing. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to like, share, and don't forget to subscribe too. And please feel free to leave a review as well if you can. And as always, if anyone's got any ideas, or if anyone would like to be a guest on the show at some point in the future, feel free to drop me a line at hello@wildnessandwellbeing.com. I'll catch you all soon.